No, that title ain't clickbait. I did get the chance to debate Mark Z, who is the product lead of old LCS, now LTA, over best of ones versus best of threes. Now, where does all this come from? It comes from the official announcement for League of the Americas. But I will say, the logo, pretty freaking cool. In order for you to understand why best of one versus best of three is a relevant debate right now, we have to go over this announcement as a whole because the league is changing pretty massively next year. Something that we've known was coming, but now we finally have all the information on. I just realized I got this pen still on. For those that don't know my background, because there's a bunch of new subscribers around here, I actually work for Disney Plus, Disney Streaming. It's our 5-year celebration today. Senior financial analyst. So whenever I talk about money, I do actually somewhat know what I'm talking about. League of the Americas. Yes, the North and Southern Conference, pretty much encompassing everything. If you were to draw a straight line on a map around the United States, Canada, Mexico, and all of South America and Latin America as well. The reason why I say the logo is cool is because the North and South logos combine to make the joint thing. I think it's a brilliant product design, 1000%. I know there were some people on Hotline League saying, hey, you should probably make merch with that. I don't think many people are going to buy like LTA merch. I think people would buy more stuff for their fans. But for press, for media, for those that work in the industry, I think it's actually a big symbol of pride. I can't wait to go to my first event and get like the press badge that will have like the LTA on it. I'm curious to know if they have like LTA North versus South badges. Like, will there be a distinction between the media? Because as of right now, we're all in like one LCS press server. What's going to be the difference? I do not know. But we can finally put to bed the partnered team rumors. Who was going to sell? Who's in? Who's out? We knew NRG and Immortals were out from earlier reports, but we got the official teams that are going to be involved. So starting with the Northern Conference, Cloud9, TL, FlyQuest, Shopify, Dignitas, all were pretty much locked, set in stone. We all knew that. 100 Thieves officially a provisional slot. Lion Gaming from the LLA, they are our Latin American representative, playing in the North Conference. And then Disguised Toast getting the guest slot. They have to face promotion and relegation at the end of the year. For 100 Thieves, if you want more information on them specifically, check out my video here. I've spent way too much time going into this. Obviously, as a 100 Thieves fan, it just is what it is. I'm not going to beat a dead horse at this point. For the Southern Conference, you got Fluxo, Furia, Loud, Pain, Red Canids, Vivo, Cade Stars, Leviton, and Isurus. I know nothing about any of these 8 teams. I am going to be doing a Road to the Americas series starting in December, and I'm actually going to talk to a few representatives from the old CV Lowell, now LTA South, to kind of give Northern fans some information on these teams, because I'm assuming most people are probably going to be like me and they know jack all about any of these teams, the culture, the history of it, and the fact that there's just a lot of fans. So more on that to come next month. That's not the important part of this video. Now's when we get into the meat and potatoes. Yes, we're going to have 3 splits next year because there are going to be 3 international tournaments. The Golden Road just got a little bit harder. By a little bit, I mean a lot. The first international tournament will see only 1 team from all 5 major regions. That means that the North and South will only get to send 1 team between the 2 of us. So we need a format that somehow whittles everybody down to just 1 team while also having Fearless Draft in it, because that's the entire theme of the first split, both internationally and domestic. Everybody is implementing Fearless Draft as kind of like a test run to see if this ends up working. Because it's Fearless, it's best of 3 all the way throughout, at least until the finals. It's just going to be a straight up double elimination tournament with the top 4 teams moving on to a playoff. The playoff will feature the top 4 teams from the North and from the South. Those 8 teams will go into a single elimination best of 3 bracket, with only finals being a best of 5. So like the full impact of Fearless really won't be seen until finals. However, we did get confirmation from Mark Z yesterday on Hotline League that apparently finals for this event is going to be in Brazil. Not a problem, but it's going to be in the studio of Brazil. We can have more capacity for finals of events like this, people. It doesn't just have to be the whole thing in the studio. You're really telling me you can't get a theater of like 2,000 people together for just 1 day of finals, like do the entire tournament on Friday, Saturday, and then like be able to move there on Sunday? That's not logistically possible. We can't sell those tickets. Come on. Brazil, I know, can pack out those events. Let's not lie to ourselves. You want finals of these splits to feel important and feel bigger than something else. Yes, the fact that it's going to be North versus South plays a big part in this. I agree. But still, it should be in a bigger venue. But I digress. Not the thing I debated Mark Z on. That comes from Split 2. Split 2 is going to be a traditional split for all of us, in the sense of we have a regular season, which feeds into a playoff system, which we've been familiar with for a while now, and then the winner goes to the international tournament. It is 1 team from the North and South that both go to this event, given that we send 2 teams per region. The problem is it's double round robin, best of ones instead of best of threes. And this is where Mark Z and I really differ in opinion. So I got the chance to go on the Hotline League and argue my case here. I just want to ask, why best of ones? Why? Why are we going back?
I will repeat the spiel that I said kind of on the dive, but I will also ask David if he's watched the dive already, just so I know how much
I have
spieling.
Now, the crux of my argument is threefold. First and foremost, I just independently think best of threes are a much better viewing experience than best of ones from a fan point of view, which I don't think many people argue all that much against it. It seems like the arguments for best of ones are more for the team side and the exposure, as noted by Mark Z. But I think that's a bit of a red herring, if I do say so myself. Teams have had 6 years now, with 2 days of best of ones over the course of a weekend to try and develop brands and raise awareness for themselves. And nobody's really been able to do it all that well. Sure, some teams did it back in 2018, 2019 at the beginning of franchising, but let's not sit here and say that best of ones really did anything. The thing that did it for most people was once they got into playoffs. For the regular season, best of threes, in my opinion, always provides the better opportunity for you to build a narrative. You get more continuous time on screen and the chance to have a better story than just a one-off best of one, which people can relate to a little bit more. Plus, it also makes event planning way easier. I don't understand this marketing angle from teams. I get like more exposure on multiple days, but you could just double the efforts that you put into that one match of best of threes by hosting events and doing more outside of just going to the LA studio and playing. It's much easier to center content pieces around one team that you're playing against. It's much easier to get fans to tune in to a single day of games over the course of a weekend whenever we are getting older, have lives and other things to do. I know that's not the entire demographic of League of Legends, but it seems like from studies that were done last year, I cannot for the life of me find them, but the average age of your LCS fan is now getting older. We all have jobs now, or at least the majority of us have jobs, have lives, have families. Best of threes are going to be the way to do that. But also going into an era where we're trying to create new fans of teams. I personally don't believe that just like shotgun people seeing your brand once a day, but not really connecting with it meaningfully, is going to be as impactful as getting prolonged periods of time in front of fans. I did also make the argument about viewership, which I think Mark Z misinterpreted. Viewership in summer was notably better, and the drop-off was not as far from prior years. Would you account that to best of threes, or would you account that to co-streams?
I would say that's not true. We didn't do our usual wrap-up video just with prepping all the LTA stuff. We didn't get around to doing a proper breakdown video like we did between spring and summer. But the AMA drop was 19%.
I'm not going to make this argument all that much for best of threes because in hindsight, looking at this data, I do believe it's more of an indicator of the walkout really impacting things last year, as well as the weekday change, which, oh God, I hate the weekday thing. But what Mark Z said about the 19% viewership drop is correct. And that's also what I was saying. I was comparing the 19 to the 30 of the prior year. I think he thought that I was comparing summer to spring viewership, which was not the case. Summer always goes down after spring. That's just standard in esports, and then it ramps up again come Worlds. Like, that's just how it works. But look, while I do have my gripes, clearly, I will still watch best of ones. I just don't think it's as good, especially when I'm trying to like plan events here in New York City. Doing general LCS watch parties has always worked out better when you can just pick a day and 4 teams are there. Like, I've held them now for 3 straight years. And I'm telling you, best of ones, way less people turn out for those than people turned out for best of threes. By the end of last year, people were turning out in much higher numbers, especially for 100 Thieves events. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased. I know I tend to attract more of that crowd whenever we go to these events. But anytime I was there for 100 Thieves best of 3, there were more fans there than I would have thought that there would have been, even in the deeper parts of Brooklyn, where typically our attendance and turnouts a little bit lower. Regular season, we still got people to show up, which is great. But I think the one thing that actually will make a pretty substantial difference with Split 2 is the fact that your seeding does matter. Like, where you end up, even in the regular season, because some teams will not make playoffs, does impact Split 3, which is a pick and play system. Each week, teams at the bottom of the ranking will get to pick their opponent that they want to play from the top to try and beat them and get a win. You notably cannot repeat matchups. I'll be honest with you, trying to read the article now while I'm also filming this is kind of the mini script. It still doesn't fully make sense other than knowing that the first 3 weeks, teams with lower records will pick the top teams trying to upset them. But then after week 3, it flips and the top teams pick the bottom teams to just straight up eliminate them. That's the general gist. And then the top 3 from each conference go into a 6-team playoff against the Southern and Northern conferences. The top seed from the LTA North and the top seed from the LTA South automatically go to Worlds, and then the best team from there in third place automatically goes. Or if it's like 2 Northern Conference teams, the one that wins obviously goes, and then second place goes as well. Make sense? No, probably still a little bit confusing. I know even trying to explain it here, the formats are a little bit weird, but I will say, like, just looking at this and eyeballing it, it definitely seems like things will make more sense when we're in the system, and it will be more hype, and I'm glad they're trying things. I just don't like the best of ones in Split 2. But even then, it's a very small portion of the overall year. It's not worth making a big hubbub about. The reason I fought for it so hard is because owners were saying on Twitter, including Jack, including President Papa Smithy from FlyQuest, Shopify Rebellion are in on it. They would rather have best of 3s than best of 1s. Now, whether they're just pandering to the tweets and the outrage right now, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I believe them whenever they say it. So I am making a push to try and get that swap to best of 3s versus best of 1s. Maybe the team owners can actually make a decision there and try and push Riot more in that direction. That's on them at this point, because from the sounds of it, Riot is making this choice because they see it as in the best interest of teams themselves. So if teams are the ones to push back and fight against it, then maybe things can change. But we got to see what the goal of the owners is, for those that have spoke out publicly on social media, to try and push that now in the boardroom. Will it change? I doubt it, but who knows? And finally, there's going to be only one roadshow for the year. This year taking place in North America. It'll swap each and every year. I'm not sure where that roadshow is going to be at. I'm sure they're going to announce it probably later into the year, as they typically do. I hope the capacity is a little bit higher, given that Brazilian fans might travel out for it. They also might not. But honestly, overall, I love this. If it weren't for the fact that I don't like the LTA abbreviation, it really does nothing for me personally. Maybe that will come as time goes on, but just something about the memes about last to the airport kind of dominate it. But the other thing that we can promote, that I'm just putting out there for people, loss to the Americas. We can just plaster LTA anytime that somebody loses to an American team, both North and South, does not matter. You lost to the Americas. That's our whole branding. That's an angle that I freaking love, and I cannot wait to push next year. But I am excited. I am excited for a new generation of League of Legends. Each split being different does feel good. I hope that we understand that the weighting of these is different. I personally will not value the winner of split 1 or split 2 to the same regard as split 3. That is the one where it's hey, you win split 3, you win the conference, the region. This is your one winner for the entire year. The others are basically minor tournaments relative to the major that is split 3, even if there are ripple effects from the prior splits that do weigh into it. That's not saying that the first 2 don't matter. You obviously qualify to international tournaments. They very much matter. But in terms of who wins the Americas, that is the winner of split 3. But this isn't just about my excitement. I'm curious to know all of yours. The reaction seems to be mixed across social media, so let me know your thoughts. Are you excited for this new system? Are you excited for the LTA in 2025? Because again, all of this is done to try and revitalize what is a product that is struggling in North America. Will this make the biggest amount of change? I don't know. Time will tell, and we will see. But League esports in general feels just as hype as it's ever been. Don't let some of my sorrows about my team possibly leaving, possibly not, and being in this weird limbo situationship state take away from that. Next year is going to be a banger, whether you fully have faith in the format or not. And to Mark Z, thank you for putting up with me and my pestering and my questions. It's always fun to debate on platforms like Hotline League. It's not often that you get the chance to talk to the LCS or LTA commissioner. And also thank you to Travis for giving me the free edits every single time I'm on your show. It's too easy.
An old favorite returning, somebody who many of you know. That's right. David Shynock's going to be calling us tonight. No, I'm just kidding.